start the recording. Hearing this, Lakshmana gave up his anger. Sugriva humbly threw aside his garland and said, I could never repay Rama for all that he has done for me. He is my master and my lord. I will follow him wherever he goes and do whatever he orders. I fully admit that I was at fault and humbly beg your forgiveness. Pleased, Lakshmana replied, kindly forgive my angry mood as well. I think it would be best for you to go now and see Rama. He will be encouraged by your sincerity. Sugriva then ordered Hanuman, summon again all the monkeys from the Himalayan, Mahendra, Mandara, and Kailasha mountains. Arouse all who are prone to sense indulgence and procrastination. Tell them that anyone who does not respond to my order within 10 days will be killed. Hanuman immediately dispatched the monkey leaders. Within the same hour, millions of monkeys began pouring into Kishkinda. After presenting themselves to Sugriva, the monkeys were. Then Lakshmana again requested Sugriva to go and meet with Rama. Thus Sugriva had a palanquin brought forth, and he and Lakshmana were carried to Rama's dwelling, accompanied by innumerable monkeys. Thereafter, as Lakshmana and Sugriva stood before Rama with folded hands, Rama gazed upon the army of monkeys with great pleasure. Sugriva then fell flat before Rama, submitting himself as a fully surrendered soul at his lotus feet. Rama then mercifully lifted up Sugriva and embraced him, without any trace of resentment for Sugriva's past negligence. After offering the Monkey King a seat, Rama instructed Sugriva about royal duties. A king should understand the proper times for dharma, artha, and kama, and then enjoy life accordingly. When a king gives up the Vedic regulations, being overly attached to sense gratification, thus indulging himself irregularly, he is considered fallen. My dear Sugriva, now is the time for you to endeavor to find Sita, as you have already vowed. Sugriva replied, my dear Rama, please rest assured, I am eager to help you, as are all the monkeys who have assembled here. Rama again embraced Sugriva, reconfirming their friendship. Thereafter, a huge dust cloud began forming because of the great hordes of monkeys converging upon Sugriva's order. The cloud covered the entire sky so that the sun became veiled. All the great leaders of the monkeys and Jambavan, the king of the bears, came before Sugriva and their millions of followers. The entire surrounding forest and mountain area became completely covered by the monkeys. Pointing out the different groups of monkeys, Sugriva said to Rama, my dear lord, you should consider these monkey warriors as your own army. From now on, please order them as you see fit. Rama said, our first mission is to locate the abode of Ravana and ascertain whether Sita is still alive. My dear Sugriva, Hare Krishna, there was some network issue there, so it got disconnected. So meanwhile, I'll do one thing. I'll give access to Aditya Prabhu in case I get disconnected. He can continue this reading. I have given access to Aditya Prabhu. In case there is some network issue, he can continue the reading. Hare Krishna. So Sugriva immediately called for the monkey king Vinda and ordered, I want you and your soldiers to search everywhere in the eastern direction, including the seven oceans and seven islands. Beyond the ocean of milk, there is an ocean of fresh water, wherein lies the subterranean fire. 13 yojanas from the eastern shore of the freshwater ocean is the mountain called Jatarupasila, which is made entirely of golden rocks. It is there that Lord Anantashesha resides, supporting the entire earth. This marks the outer boundary of the eastern quarter. I am giving you 1 month to search this entire area. Anyone who reports back later than that will be executed for neglecting the royal order. Next, Sugriva dispatched Angada, Neela, Hanuman, Jambavan, Mahinda, Dvivida, and others to the south, making the son of Vali their leader. After describing the southern region, Sugriva instructed the monkeys. 800 miles beyond the northern shore of the salt ocean is an island that I think must surely be the residence of Ravana. Further to the south is Bhogavati, the capital of Rasatal, which is presided over by Vasugi. Then beyond the Rishabha mountain, which marks the furthest boundary of Bhumandala, is the abode of Yamaraja. Do not search in the Pitaloka or anywhere beyond, for no earthly being can go there. Sugriva then dispatched Susena and his followers to the west. He instructed them, in the middle of the salt ocean is Pragjyotisapura, the city of Narakasura, and the western limit is where the sun sets. Beyond that, there is no information as to what exists, so you should not go there. Finally, Satabali was dispatched to the north, and Sugriva informed him, you will first come to the land of the Malechas and then the Himalayan mountains. Beyond these mountains is 800 miles of desolate land. After that is Mount Kailash, where Kuvera resides. Beyond Kailash is Kroncha mountain. Then Uttara Kuru province, and finally the northern saltwater sea, in the middle of which is a golden mountain called Somagiri. Therein Lord Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva reside. When you see that mountain, you should turn back, for it is not possible to go beyond that. Sugriva considered Hanuman to be the most capable of finding Sita. To encourage him, Sugriva said, O Hanuman, of all the powerful monkeys, you are exceptional. There is no one capable of obstructing you on this earth, in the sky, in heaven, or in the nether regions. Not only do you have superhuman strength, but you are courageous, intelligent, and resourceful. Therefore, I am especially counting on you to find Sita. Hearing these words and observing Hanuman's self confidence, Rama also became convinced that Hanuman would be the one to find his beloved wife. Taking his ring, Rama handed it to Hanuman, saying, my name is inscribed on the inside. When you locate Sita, give her this ring. She will then become convinced that you are my envoy. My dear Hanuman, I have full confidence that you will be able to carry out this important mission on my behalf. Accepting the ring, Hanuman touched it to his head and bowed down before Rama. He then departed while the other monkeys began scouring the earth for Sita. Rama and Lakshmana consented to remain in their mountain cave for the next month. After the monkeys had departed, Rama asked Sugriva, how have you acquired such extensive knowledge of the earth's geography? Sugriva replied, after Vali returned to Kishkindia and banished me, even though I voluntarily surrendered the kingdom to him, he remained angry and continued to chase after me. Thus, out of fear for my brother, I continually wandered over the surface of the entire earth, seeking shelter. Finally, after some time, Hanuman informed me of Matanga's curse, and I took shelter of Matanga's ashrama. As the monkeys searched for Sita, they spread out during the day to comb their allotted areas, and at night regrouped to take rest. Before 1 month had elapsed, Vinata, Satabali, and Susena returned, having thoroughly scoured their assigned regions. With sad faces, they reported to Sugriva that they had not been able to unearth even a single clue about Sita's location. Sugriva sat next to Rama as the monkeys came and related to him their experiences. Everyone concluded that Hanuman was their only hope. As the party led by Angada thoroughly searched throughout the desolate Vindhya mountain range, they became tormented by hunger and thirst, for that entire region was devoid of water. Then, when the monkeys left the mountains and entered the adjoining forest, they were disappointed to find that the trees did not even bear leaves. What to speak of fruit and flowers? Because all the streams in that area were dried up, it was also bereft of birds and other animals. The forest had once been the home of the great sage Kandu. When his son died prematurely at the age of 10, the rishi became so angry that he cursed the entire forest to become unfit for the habitation of man or beast. While roaming in the desolate forest, the monkeys came upon a ferocious Rakshasa. Although the demon was fearless, having received a benediction from the demigods, he was killed by Angada, who thought him to be Ravana. However, when Angada's party searched the entire area and failed to find any clue concerning Sita's whereabouts, they became disappointed. Time passed quickly as Angada urged the monkeys on their search around the Vindhya mountain range. The allotted 1 month came to an end. Oppressed by hunger and thirst, the monkeys searched for water. Then Angada and Tara sighted a cave where moist creepers grew thickly and aquatic birds flocked. They hastened to the cave, hoping to find water within. The cave was deep and dark, and as they cautiously entered it, they made a chain by holding hands. Finally, after proceeding for 8 miles, the monkeys could see a light deep within the cave. Proceeding further, they came upon a grove of golden trees. Soon they came upon golden palaces, beautiful ponds, and lovely gardens. In the midst of this heavenly grove, the monkeys beheld an ascetic woman dressed in black deer skin and glowing with great spiritual effulgence. Hanuman approached her with folded hands and said, kindly tell us who you are and to whom this cave belongs. Why does everything have such a golden appearance? We are very tired and thirsty. We have been wandering about through waterless regions for a long time. The woman replied, my name is Swayama Prabha, the daughter of Meru Swarni, the superintending deity of Mount Meru. I am a friend of the Apsara Hema, and I remain here guarding this hermitage. This cave named Rakshabila is the creation of Maya Danava. After performing austerities here, Maya Danava received a benediction from Lord Brahma that enabled him to possess all the mystic powers known to Shukara. Thereafter, Maya Danava continued dwelling here. However, later on, when Maya became attached to Hema, Indra drove him from these regions with the help of his thunderbolt. Lord Brahma then gave this cave to Hema. Please make yourselves feel at home and kindly tell me the purpose of your coming to this inaccessible region. According to Vedic etiquette, one must always welcome a guest. First, one should offer him a sitting place and refreshment. Afterwards, one can inquire about his well being. Even if the host is very poor, he can at least offer a clean sitting place and a glass of water. In such a pleasant atmosphere, a guest is sure to feel peaceful and happy. Thus, Swamipratha heartily welcomed her visitors. As Swamipra- as Swamprabha, as Swamprabha offered her guests her hospitality, Hanuman narrated the entire story of Rama's exile and their search for the kidnapped Sita. Hanuman then said, "We cannot thank you enough for your kind reception. Is there any service we can perform in return?" Swamprabha replied, "Because I am engaged in performing austerities, I have nothing to ask from others." Hanuman then said, "Our master, the monkey king Sugriva, has allotted us 1 month to find Sita. That time has already expired, and we therefore feel doomed. Is there any way you can help us?" Swamprabha replied, "It is nearly impossible for anyone who has entered this cave to get out alive. However, I shall assist you by utilizing my mystic powers. But you must close your eyes, for no one can leave here while looking about." Thereafter, the monkeys kept their eyes tightly shut. Suddenly, they felt themselves being transported out of the cave. When they at last opened their eyes, they saw that everyone had been carried out of the cave. Looking about, they could see that all the trees were now in full bloom. Apparently, spring had arrived. The monkeys became very depressed, thinking of how so much time had somehow mysteriously elapsed. Angada then suggested we should all sit down and fast until death, for that would be more noble than being killed by Sugriva for our negligence. All the assembled monkeys agreed that there was no question of them returning to Kishkinda without first obtaining some information about Sita. Tara then proposed, "Let us take shelter within this inaccessible cave, for we could all live there without fear of being discovered." Angada remained silent, as if ready to approve this plan. However, Hanuman said, "My dear prince, I consider you to be endowed with the 8 attributes of intelligence: an inclination to hear what others have to say, the capacity to hear what others have to say, the ability to comprehend the basic meaning of what others have to say, good memory, capacity to reason in favor of a proposition, capacity to reason against a proposition, deep insight into the meaning of what others say, and true wisdom. Above and beyond all this, you are endowed with the 14 excellences that characterize great personalities: a sense of time and place, firmness, ability to endure all kinds of hardship, knowledge of all subjects, expertise, vigor, ability to guard secrets, consistency, heroism, ability to judge one's own strength in comparison to that of an enemy, appreciation for the services rendered by others, compassion for surrendered souls, indignation in the presence of unrighteousness, and steadiness in duty. In this way, Hanuman employed the first political expedient by flattering Angada. Then he utilized the third by causing some dissension among the monkeys, making them argue about what should be done. Finally, he intimidated Angada by saying, "If you go through with your foolish plan to live within this cave, then you shall soon meet with disaster. The other monkeys will not remain faithful to you for very long under such conditions. Moreover, eventually Lakshmana will find out where you are and destroy the cave along with you and the other monkeys. However, if you return to Kishkindia, Sugriva will certainly forgive you. Because you are the only son, he will later install you on the throne." Angada countered Hanuman by arguing, "You overestimate Sugriva and forget that he is enjoying his elder brother's wife. Sugriva purposefully neglected his promise to Rama and took action only after being threatened by Lakshmana. Thereafter, therefore, whoever wants to can run home. I, however, shall remain here fasting until death. After saying this, Angada sat down on kusha grass and wept. The other monkeys surrounded him likewise, determined to give up their lives. Just then, Sampatti, the elder brother of Jatayu, came out of his cave and perched on top of a mountain in sight of all the monkeys. Being overjoyed, he said aloud to himself, by the grace of Providence, I have got some food after such a long time. When the monkeys begin to fall down dead from starvation, I shall eat them one by one. Hare Krishna. So I would request Aditya Prabhu if you can read further.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, am I audible?
Yes, Prabhu, you are audible. You can continue
Thank,
reading from. Yes.
thank you, Prabhuji. Hearing this, Angada became agitated. Addressing Hanuman, he said, "What a horrible fate we now face. This is all the doing of the evil Kaikeyi. First, she caused the destruction of the great soul, Jatayu, then Vali, and now she will become the cause of our deaths as well." This was the first time Sampati had heard of Jatayu's death, and so he requested, "Please tell me all the details about the passing of my younger brother. I have become very pleased in hearing Jatayu's name glorified by you, although I am distressed to hear of his death. O best of monkeys, I wish to beg one favor from you. Long ago, the rays of the sun burned my wings, and now I cannot fly. Would you kindly help me to come down from this mountain peak? Since only moments earlier, Sampati had expressed his desire to eat them, the monkeys could not readily put much faith in his words. However, the reason we are going to die in any case by fasting. Therefore, even if this gigantic vulture eats us alive, it only means that our suffering will end more quickly. The monkeys went and helped Sampati down from the mountain top. As they went down, Angada told the entire story of Rama's exile and the heroic death of Jatayu. In turn, Sampati related his own story in a tearful voice. Long, long ago, Jatayu and I wanted to test our prowess by challenging the King of Heaven. After soaring high into the sky, up to the heavenly planets, we defeated Indra in battle. Then, having become very proud, we decided to rise up even higher. Thereafter, as we approached the sun, Jatayu grew faint from the great heat. To save Jatayu, I covered him with my wings. In the process, my wings became burned and I fell down onto the Vindhya mountains. Angada then interrupted, saying, "If you are actually the elder brother of Jatayu and our well wisher, then give us information about the abode of Ravana." Sampati replied, "Because I am now very old and my wings are burned, I am unable to physically serve Lord Rama, but at least I can do so with my power of speech. I was told that a young lady was carried away by Ravana, and while crying out, Rama, Rama, she dropped some of her ornaments to the ground. I know that this Ravana is the king of the Rakshasas, and his kingdom, Lanka, is situated on an island 100 yojanas from the southern shore. Because I am a descendant of Vinata, my vision extends for more than 100 yojanas. Thus, I can see the golden city from here. My dear monkeys, you will be able to find Sita in Lanka, guarded by the Rakshasis. Now, please grant me one favor. Take me to the ocean so that I can offer water for for the departed soul of my brother. The monkeys were overjoyed to hear about Sita, thus casting aside their woe to fast until death. They took Sampati to the ocean and quickly returned. Jambavan then asked him, how did you come to learn that Sita had been abducted by Ravana? Sampati explained, after my wings were burnt and I fell into the Vindhya mountains, my son Suparshva began to take care of me and bring my food. Once I was very hungry, and when Suparshva returned home without food, I chastised him. My son told me, while searching for flesh today, I happened to see a giant Rakshasa carrying away a young woman through the air. I wanted to bring both of them to eat to you to eat. But the Rakshasa asked me in a very friendly manner to allow him to pass by. I could not refuse his request. Afterwards, the Siddhas came and informed me that he was Ravana and said that it was fortunate for me that the Rakshasas had not killed me. Sampati could see that the monkeys were now confident of his friendship. He continued narrating his life story. After I fell onto the Vindhya mountains, I remained unconscious for 6 days. When I came to my senses, I went to see the great sage Nisakara, who was living nearby and was known to my brother and me. When I met the Rishi, he asked me how my wings had been burned, and I explained the entire incident. I told him that after falling from the sky and not hearing from my brother, I contemplated committing suicide by jumping from a mountain peak. As I stood before him, tears flowing from my eyes, Nishakara told me, do not despair, for I give you the following benediction. When, at a future date, you give information to the monkeys about Sita, your wings will reappear along with renewed energy. Saying this, the sage Nishakara retired to his cottage, and I crawled back to my place in the Vindhya mountains. Since then, I have simply waited for your arrival. After 8,000 years passed, the Rishi Nishakara gave up his body and went to heaven. In his absence, I had begun to doubt the validity of his words. As Sampati spoke to the monkeys, a pair of wings sprouted from his body, and he felt a surge of youthful energy. With great delight, Sampati encouraged the monkeys to resume their search for Sita. As Sampati soared into the sky, the monkeys headed south, rejuvenated with new hope. However, when the monkeys reached the shore of the ocean, they became dejected upon seeing its vastness. thinking themselves incapable of crossing over to Lanka. Angada encouraged the monkeys, saying, despondency is useless, for it has never caused an action to bear fruit. Indeed, despair is the root of failure. It is as deadly as a poisonous snake. Now, whoever can leap 100 yojanas to rescue Sita from the clutches of Ravana, please step forward so we can become freed from Sugriva's wrath. Since no one responded to Angada's call, he began asking the monkeys individually how far they could jump. Some monkeys said they could jump 10 yojanas, or 20, 30, 40, or 50. Mainda said he could jump 60 yojanas, and Dvivida claimed 70. Susena declared he could easily jump 80 yojanas, while Jambavan explained, formerly I had an almost unlimited jumping capacity. However, now, at the end of my life, I can only leap 90 yojanas. Long ago, when Lord Vamana covered the entire universe, I circumambulated him as he took his 3 strides. Unfortunately, I am no longer capable of jumping to Lanka to rescue Sita. Finally, Angada said, I can probably jump 100 yojanas, but I doubt I could do so a second time to make the return journey. Jambavan replied, I am sure that with your prowess you could leap 1,000 yojanas. However, you are the leader of this expedition, and it would not be proper for you to accomplish the task yourself. Therefore, my dear prince, you must order someone else to do it. Angada replied, it does not matter who is in charge. If someone does not go to Lanka, be it myself or someone else, then our only alternative is to fast until death. Therefore, Jambavan, please devise some means whereby we can cross the ocean and save ourselves from Sugriva's wrath. Jambavan then said, do not worry, for I shall now appeal to someone who will certainly be able to perform this difficult feat. O Hanuman, you are equal to Garuda, the carrier of Lord Vishnu. Why have you not spoken up? Please listen as I now describe the glories of the best of all monkeys. Once one of the foremost apsaras named Punjikastali was cursed by Rishi and thus took birth as Anjana, the daughter of the monkey king Kunjara. Anjana grew up to be unparalleled in beauty and could change her form at will. Once, after having married the monkey chief Kesari, Anjana took the form of a human being and began wandering through the mountains. Upon seeing the beautiful Anjana, Vayu became captivated and removed her dress by the means of the wind. When Vayu saw Anjana's rounded and closely united thighs, her swelling breasts, and other feminine attractions, he became overwhelmed with sexual desire and embraced her by force. Unable to see her assailant, Anjana cried out, who is violating my vow to accept only one husband? Vayu replied, I am the god of air, Vayu. I have not physically spoiled your chastity because I have entered you mentally. By my grace, you will give birth to a powerful son who is equal to myself in raising at will. Myself in ranging at will. Anjana became pleased by wise words, and soon thereafter she gave birth to Hanuman within a mountain cave. The next morning, when baby Hanuman saw the rising sun, he thought it to be a shiny fruit. Designing to catch it, he leapt more than 3,000 yojanas into the sky. but was thrown back to earth by the sun's brilliance. Unscathed, Hanuman jumped again. This time, however, Indra became angered by the monkey's audacity and hurled his thunderbolt. Thus, the king of heaven's weapon dashed Hanuman against a mountainside, fracturing the left side of his chin. Indeed, it is because of this incident that Hanuman received his name, for Hanuman means one having a broken chin. Vayu became furious at Indra's aggression against his son and began withholding the air from the three worlds. This plunged the demigods into great anxiety. With Lord Brahma at their head, they rushed to Vayu's abode, hoping to pacify him. Just to satisfy the wind god, Lord Brahma blessed Hanuman to become invincible in battle. Indra was blessed and surprised to see that the baby monkey had not been killed by his thunderbolt. Therefore, he awarded Hanuman the benediction of being able to die at will. Jambavan concluded, I consider Hanuman alone to be capable of executing our mission. Of course, in the past, this little jump would have been nothing for me. As Lord Trivikrama expanded his three steps to take away Bali's kingdom, I soared around the world 21 times to circumambulate him. When the demigods and demons wanted to produce nectar, it was I who single handedly collected all the herbs that were thrown into the ocean of milk. However, I have grown very old. It is now time for Hanuman to exhibit his prowess. Hanuman became greatly encouraged upon hearing these words of glorification. Then, to the joy of all the monkeys present, Hanuman began expanding himself into a gigantic form while telling his own glories. I am able to go around Mount Meru 1,000 times without even pausing, and by splashing the waters of the ocean, I could inundate the entire world. I could circumambulate Garuda 1,000 times as he flies through the sky, and I can uproot the entire city of Lanka and carry it a great distance if I so desire. All the monkeys were thrilled to hear Hanuman boast of his prowess. However, to remind him of the gravity of the situation, they said, we shall all stand here upon one foot until you return. Our very lives rest upon you, as well as all hopes for recovering Sita. Hanuman then informed the monkeys, I will leap from the peak of Mount Mahendra, since it is capable of sustaining the immense pressure I will exert on the earth for my leap. Then Hanuman departed, and within a minute he arrived at the mighty Mahendra hill, which would serve as a support for his monumental leap.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so much.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Welcome, Prabhu. So now I would request devotees if they have any questions, they can post it in the question box, and after that, I would request Krishna Keshav Prabhu to continue the session.
I don't know that you're able to hear me,
Yeah, yes, Prabhu.
but the video you
Okay,
didn't give
okay.
me.
I give.
The other one you can revoke it. The one which is there.
Okay, okay.
Yes. Okay. So I think yesterday's question was not answered till now.
Yeah, there was one question.
Uh, Yesterday's question was is it justifiable?
Yeah, is it justifiable for Sugriva to like have Tara as his wife?
The exact words are acquired. That is what you said. Yes, it is said that Sigriva had begun, page number 247. Having achieved his goal and now without cause for fear, Sugriva had begun to spend his time completely absorbed in enjoying the company of young women in private, especially his wife Ruma and the newly acquired Tara. Uh, but actually, I think um, uh, this is answered in the upcoming paragraphs. Did you observe, Hare Krishna?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Did
Uh,
anybody observe that upcoming paragraphs they it was clarified? I think so, because what had happened is, see now, uh, now the situation is that Sugriva forgot that he had to do some service for Lord Ram in searching Mata Sita, but he forgot and he was engaged in enjoying with his wife and Tara. But afterwards, when Rama said to Lakshmana that you go and remind him, Sugriva, that he has to do some duty, then Lakshmana comes and he becomes angry on Sugriva. Then Sugriva doesn't go at that time because she knows Sugriva doesn't go means, I mean to say, Sugriva, Ruma, his wife doesn't let Sugriva to go directly, or
hmm.
nor Tara. They both, either of them goes to Lakshmana.
Tara goes, yeah.
Tara goes to Lakshmana and then consoles him and
Hmm.
then says that what can you expect from a monkey,
Yeah. Yeah.
or to say more clearly that yeah, monkeys, they are animals, so they are allowed to do like that. But in human society they don't do like that. But in I was also searching and I was also thinking that if a widow, where are there are examples in Puranas where a widow who is having children has undergone some, I mean, underwent or happened to have some illicit sex or to have relationship with somebody. I was also searching for all those instances, but nobody could find even one also like that.
Yeah.
So it is an exception here because Tara says to Lakshmana that what can you expect from monkeys? They will do like that. I think so. I don't know whether we can read that place where Tara speaks to Lakshmana. Can you find anywhere? Mm, now that Atman has arrived, Lakshmana, I want you to go to Krishna. My name, O King of Monkeys, one who acts.
Yeah, here it is on 251.
Yeah, 251 somewhere it should be there. Let
Tara
me.
pleaded to Lakshmana, you must forgive.
Tara then pleaded to Lakshmana, you must forgive Sugriva, for he has lost his good intelligence under his way of lust. Even great rishis sometimes hanker for Sanskrit. What to speak of a. See, this is saying, even great rishis sometimes hanker for sense gratification. What to speak of a fickle minded monkey? Please do not think that Sugriva has forgotten his obligation to Rama. He has already called for millions of monkeys to assemble here to begin the search for Sita. Please come in and talk to Sugriva yourself. So now, because she knows Lakshmana is enraged so much that he might see here before that paragraph 250. If you read, Tara came before Lakshmana, her dress loosened and her eyes rolled from intoxication. Lakshmana anger subsided and he humbled, looked downward towards her feet out of respect, because even though she is wife of a monkey, but still she is a woman, and Lakshmana gives all importance for women, even though she is undressed, loosely dressed. Still, he is just sees the feet. Tara then inquired, "My dear prince, what are you angry for about Sugriva? And your husband has neglected his obligation to Rama, preferring instead to pass his days in inner apartments, dallying with women." Then he says this.
But she's also like she monkey, right? Tara. Is it not?
Uh, yes, but I don't know. Yes, she might be she monkey, but uh, Jambavati, for example, she doesn't look like a beer.
Okay.
Jambavati looks Jambavan's sister, Jambavan's daughter is Jambavati.
Okay, okay, okay.
Jambavati doesn't look like a beer,
Yeah.
although
Okay.
Jambavan looks like a beer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
It
Okay.
is it is very difficult to understand how is that possible. And
Hmm.
Tara, we don't know. And Anjana Devi was not a monkey. Anjana Devi was a monkey. Anjana Devi's son is Hanuman.
Hanuman.
Was Anjana a monkey?
I don't think so.
I don't think. I also don't know. So these
I
are all.
don't. Yeah.
Uh, so these are all. Uh, what is Aditya want to say something? Fickle-minded monkey, Apsara. I don't know. So the point is that so there is nothing wrong in what can you expect from a fickle-minded monkey. Mm. So and Anjana Devi is an Apsara. Yeah, Anjana Devi is an Apsara. So she is like a humanly person. So for a humanly person, how monkey could take birth? So it is. Uh,
Incomprehensible.
it is not. We can't understand. Actually, it happens over a period of time that his chin becomes broken.
Yeah, by the thunderbolt of Indra.
Thunderbolt of Indra, and after that it becomes bulged because he wanted to catch Surya.
Hmm.
So these all things are there, but it is very difficult to understand how people used to be there at that time. uh, how these it's very difficult to understand how Tara, she's a woman, and how it's out of my this one. Hare Krishna.
Unlimited.
Some things we cannot understand, we should just accept and then go on. But
Yes.
this one is there, but we can understand that monkeys are there, so for monkey there are no rules like that.
Mm-hmm.
That is the answer. Yeah.
Okay.
If at all any other questions you can, devotees can ask, then otherwise we can proceed for another 4 minutes. We can read some 2 3 paragraphs. Somebody is asking some question.
No, Prabhu. Currently, there are no questions.
Okay, we can proceed. Sundarakanda. The virtuous Hanuman first offered his obeisances unto Surya, Indra, Vayu, and Brahma at the foot of mountain Mahindra. Then, after climbing to its peak, he expanded his body to gigantic proportions. By grabbing the mountain with hands and feet, he inadvertently crushed many deer underfoot. Hanuman paused for several moments and composed his mind in preparation for the great leap. Because of the weight of his huge body, the entire mountain began to shake. Large snakes vomited fire from their mouths and bit into the rocks, causing them to split into thousands. Thousands of flaming fragments. The Vidyadharas flew up in the sky to witness Hanuman's spectacular jump. Hanuman crouched down, summoning all his energy, and as the mountain peak began to crumble, spouts of water gushed forth from the immense pressure. Gandharva couples that had been sporting in the heavenly region, along with numerous rishis that resided there, quickly fled the mountain out of fear. Hanuman then declared to the monkeys, either I shall bring back Sita or I shall uproot the entire city of Lanka along with Ravana. Jai Hanuman. Hanuman drew in his breath and tensed his muscles. Suddenly he sprang into the air like an arrow shot from the bow of Rama. Ah, what a comparison. Due to force of Hanuman's jump, all the trees on the peak of Mountain Mahindra were uprooted and thrown into the sky. Hanuman soared like a huge cloud and stretched out his tail. As Hanuman sailed through the heavens, the uprooted trees followed in his wake and plummeted plummeted into the ocean. Colored flowers from their branches fluttered down and scattered over the surface of the water, creating a beautiful sight. The hurricane created by Hanuman's flight agitated the ocean, creating waves as tall as mountains that crushed again his breast. The shadow of Hanuman projected upon the surface of water measured 80 by 240 miles, and the suction created as he passed through the air drew the surrounding clouds to him. Hanuman resembled the moon as he became hidden in the masses of clouds and visible again as he emerged from them. Out of parental affection, Vayu blew cooling breezes, keeping the sunshine from scorching him. As Hanuman soared through the sky, all classes of beings applauded him. The ocean deity also desired to assist him out of respect for Lord Rama. He felt obliged to help since Lord Rama had descended in the Ikshvaku dynasty. And Rama's forefather, King Sagara, had extended the ocean's boundaries. Previously, Indra had placed the great Mainaka mountain in the middle of the ocean to obstruct the demons from traveling to the earth from the neither regions. The ocean now ordered Mainak to rise up out of the water, hoping to assist Hanuman by providing him with a resting place. However, when Hanuman saw the great mountain peak emerging from the sea, he considered it to be an impediment and knocked it down with a chest. Appreciating Hanuman's prowess, took a human form and stood on his own summit. He said, O son of Vayu, you may rest a while on my peak and then continue your journey. Please accept his humble device service, for I desire to worship your father by offering you this assistance. In the Satya Yuga, all mountains had wings, and we flew through the sky like so many Garudas. However, the demigods and rishis became fearful at the possibility of our falling to the ground and smashed everything. Finally, in a fit of anger, Indra took up his thunderbolt and proceeded to cut off the wings of many thousands of mountains. Indra likewise attacked me, but Vayu came to my rescue by forcibly casting me into the ocean. Thus my wings were spared. Now, to repay that favor to your father, I request you stop a while and accept my hospitality. Hanuman replied, Please excuse me, for I cannot dare stop. I promised the other monkeys that I would not tarry on my journey. My time is short. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, we can stop here, Prabhu.
Yes, yes. So before stopping, I just want to just raise a point here that we can see that Hanuman is going to serve, is going, is flying for serving Krishna, for serving Rama. That means he's going for a service. He's going for, like, we know we go from temple to somewhere, like somewhere else on a service for serving Krishna or something. So like that, Hanuman is going to serve Lord Ram by searching Sita, and even devatas, nature, the mountains, everybody wants to help him. So it's a very good point that if we want to serve Krishna, then all the demigods, everybody will help us. Like Prabhupada
Mm.
was helped by everybody. Ocean subsided, all the 10 avatars came and drew the Jaladuta, and then Narad Muni came to Bauri Street, Bari Place, or any other place, or 26 Second Avenue. Sukadev Goswami came, Lord Shiva came, everybody came to help Srila Prabhupada. So like that, if we want to serve Krishna, for just to please Krishna, then all the devatas will help. Otherwise, sometimes devatas will also test. That happens for us also. Prabhupada writes in that purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita or Bhagavatam, I don't remember, that if one wants to serve Krishna seriously, then demigods also will create obstructions in the path of devotional service. So they will create obstructions, and they will create a grand road for us so that we can serve Krishna also. So both are possible. It's a very great lesson we can learn from here. That just one point I wanted to make. Okay, Prabhu.
Very nicely explained, Prabhu. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. You are recording na, Prabhuji? It's recording.
Yes, Prabhuji, it's
Okay.
recording.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Vacha kalpatarubhescha kripa sindhebhyo vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Shri Raghavam Dasharathatmajam Aprameyam Sitapatim Raghukulanvaya Ratnadipam Ajanubhavam Aravindalayadaksham Ramam Nishachara Vinashakaram Namami. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.